We have a lot to cover and we have a good amount of information to share about career and college planning. So I want to get to that. Just a couple of reminders when we're online, as we continue to be. If you can use the chat feature to sign into the meeting, put in your name, email address, your student's name, and their year. Also, everybody is set up to be on mute during the meeting unless I ask you to or I'm able to unmute you. And during presentations, if you have questions, please also feel free to put your questions in the chat and we will monitor those and bring them up at the end of each of the presentations. So that being said, I'm going to turn this over to President McKenna for school update.
Thanks, Heidi. Good evening, everyone. So I made a couple slides. I appreciate Heidi putting them on this program. Makes it much easier for me to give my report. Hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to start with parent-teacher conferences. And they'll take place on the 23rd and 24th. The dates are here posted. They're posted on the website, so you can get that information. Conferences will be virtual unless a parent requests an in-person meeting. So what's going to happen is we're going to send out links next week for Sign Up Genius for each teacher. So if you need an in-person meeting, we'd ask you to still use the Sign Up Genius because we'd want you at the school at that time to meet with the individual teachers. So because we'll have most of the conferences going on virtually, but please use the Sign Up Genius if you're going to be in person or virtual, and make sure you're at the school at the time that you sign up for each teacher. We're saying we'd like them to be predominantly virtual just for safety reasons, for COVID reasons. But if there's a reason that you want to be in the building, the teachers will be there for all 3 sessions. Admin will be there. Our counselors will be in the building, and then also our nursing team and our support staff. So these are the times: 12:30 to 3 and 5 to 7 on the 23rd, and the 24th, 12:30 to 3 o'clock. So they'll be the 3 sessions for parent-teacher conferences. Hopefully, I hope that you participate. I hope that you sign up for the teachers you want to meet with and meet with them. Last year, the virtual meetings went very well. A lot of parents like the virtual meetings better because you can do them from your home. So please take advantage of that if you can. Some special events. I wanted to, we had the freshman tea on last Monday, our club fair, and then next week we're going to have the sophomore tea. I wanted to thank the home and school for Monday and for next week. We had parent support there. It was a terrific event. The students did a great job preparing boards and sign up. I couldn't believe how many students that signed up for different clubs from the 9th grade. So it was a great event. It always is. But we haven't had it in 2 years. So it was great to be in person. Students made QR codes for their clubs so students could click right on it and sign up for those clubs right there on the spot. And the club leadership were there throughout the day giving support and sharing about why freshmen should join their club. But sophomores weren't at school last year, so we wanted to give them an opportunity to go through the same tradition. So that'll be next Monday. These 3 days, traditionally we have a big winter concert. This year we're going to separate it because of COVID. And we're going to do it these times, and we're going to do the bands the first day on the 20th of December. The 21st will be our choir, and then we'll have the strings on the 22nd. Another special event that is happening on November 22nd, the day before parent-teacher conferences begin, is our annual career day with our alumni association. And we have 119 graduates from around the country that will be streaming in virtually to your children's classroom. So we're very excited about that. The Alumni Association has done an outstanding job preparing for the career day this year. They actually have a bio and a headshot of every single person who's going to present, and they've done a great job putting this and coordinating this. So it's always a special day, and I feel like the alums get as much out of it as the students, but it's a great way to connect the past of the school's history with the current student body. So 119 would break a record. If all 119 participate, we're usually around 90 to 100. So there's a lot of interest from alums, and the fact that we can stream people in from around the world is something. It's a great benefit of being able to do this virtually. Social emotional learning. So I sent a letter. Well, I shared a letter with our faculty this afternoon. I will be sharing it with students and parents on Friday when we return to campus. Basically saying winter recess and Thanksgiving break are going to be true breaks. Last year we did this for winter recess. where students just had a break and teachers had a break. It's been challenging this year. A lot of us are overwhelmed with the return to in-person learning. I've been listening to students, I've been listening to teachers, and I just think this is appropriate where people can just relax. All of our students can relax and enjoy family and friends and have a great winter recess and great Thanksgiving break. So I've decided that formal midterm examinations like we used to do, where we would do half days and students would take 2 exams, we're not going to do that either. Just because I know the stress level is raised, and quite frankly, this is not a normal year and we don't need to raise stress levels. We need to get back into the routine of being in school and being focused. So I made that the decision after meeting with senior leadership at the school. And then I said this before, but I want to reiterate that community service requirements are canceled this year just because of COVID and safety protocols. So I just wanted to share with that you will get a letter from me explaining on Friday. And I did share this with the faculty today. And I just think it's the right thing to do as we continue to put a focus on social and emotional learning. We are surveying your children every month. I shared with the executive board earlier from the Home and School Association that we asked the students to complete this short survey, and it gives us data. And I'll be sharing that data with our faculty next Friday at our PD, at our half-day PD session, and sharing more resources how to develop a positive learning environment for our students. So it has been a focus since the pandemic has started, and we will continue to focus on your children's well-being and quite frankly, the well-being of our faculty and admin and everyone around the school. The counselors are going to be here tonight, but I wanted to welcome Ms. Sharp. Our 5th counselor is back. She's here with us. We were excited to welcome her back last week. And just give you a couple of data points about what the counselors, which is remarkable, what they were able to achieve working with faculty members with letters. So 95 seniors applied early decision, 295 seniors applied for early action. And we did a multiple amnesty weekend for 281. Very successful. It gave students the opportunity to get done what they needed to get done with parents and with counselors and with teachers. We're going to continue that in the future. Last year, I believe we had 1 amnesty weekend. This year, adding the second one was beneficial for our seniors, and we want to make sure we're supporting them. On PSAT, SAT day last month, October 13th, 96.2% of our eligible students participated. The 9th graders are still going to take the 8-9 PSAT, but this is for 10th, 11th, and 12th, so it was outstanding. Seniors took advantage of that SAT, the free SAT at school, and we were pleased with the participation levels. And then finally, you'll probably hear this later, but the counseling team is putting together a financial aid night. It's going to be virtual. It's 5:30 to 7, and the Zoom link will be shared with students, and we'll also post it on the website. So if you're a parent of a junior or senior and you want to participate and learn about financial aid nights or financial aid information for colleges, this is a great opportunity to hear from someone who's working at a school, at a college level program. So thank you to the counselors that are on this call. It's been a challenging year in multiple facets of what they do, but they've been incredibly professional. They've done just a great job since we got back in person. I also want to commend the nursing team has done an outstanding job supporting our students, and the teachers have just, truly stepped up and trying to create this positive learning environment for the students as we're all getting reacclimated with being on campus. We've had an incredible athletic season, to be back. So I listed a couple things. I asked the coaches just give me a couple blurbs about, different people and different students, what they're doing. The field hockey team had a great year. They had 3 losses. They were all in the Northeast. So it was one team was their nemesis this year, but they made it to the Public League Championship. The golf team won the Public League Championship. That's a co-ed team. Cross country, the girls cross country team had an outstanding year. They were Public League and District 12 champions and sent 7 students to the state tournament. And then the boys were solid 4th place, and they sent Isaiah Richardson represented us from 281 in the state race up in the state qualifiers. So football made it to the playoffs. Football has had a good year, but they won 2 of their last 3 games. I will tell you, Rob Martin had back-to-back 200-yard rushing games. So Rob's really come on, and Coach Drayton also wanted me to highlight the offensive line has blocked incredibly well for this team. So they've grown together and they're doing better. They will have the homecoming game. That will be at 10:30 a.m. at Northeast High School, our traditional Thanksgiving game. Obviously, we didn't have it last year, but we're back on for that this year. So if you need tickets, you can reach out to Mr. Drayton. There won't be any restrictions on that. Students will be able to attend that game. I know there have been restrictions at some games. Girls tennis had another great year. They won their the 8th publicly championship in a row. And then they were the District 12 champions. And we had students go up in the state level. Mia Jeffick from the 282 was the singles champion, did a great job. She actually won her first match in the state tournament in Hershey. And then I also wanted to highlight Hallie Levinson and Ariella Mandel, both from 283, who captured the district title and made it to the doubles doubles quarterfinals up in the state tournament. So they did an outstanding job. Mr. Bill Graham, Mr. Graham has been coaching the team in a long time, and he's done a great job with the program. Boys soccer, it was 9-0. Actually, they were seeded number 1 at the end of the regular season. They lost a heartbreaker in the semifinals to the school we don't talk about, Masterman. They went into double overtime, and then they lost the semifinal game on penalty kicks. So it was a great year, though. Coach Trott was very pleased with the growth of the team. I spoke with him the other day about the team. And to go in as the number 1 seed says a lot about the young men who were part of that program. And then finally, girls volleyball made it to the semifinals of the public tournament, had another strong year under Mr. Coach Leung. So it's just been great to have students back on campus, back participating in athletics, back participating in clubs. There are things going on every day in the school, and it's student driven. So I commend all the student athletes. I commend all the club leaders, and I feel like we're moving in the right direction. So
not to be nitpicky, but you forgot to highlight the girls soccer.
It's not on there? It's right there.
It's on there, but you didn't say anything.
I'm sorry. Heidi is a girls soccer parent, so I should definitely highlight that. So they had a great year as well. Yeah, they beat John Carroll High School for 1-0 to win a District 12 championship. They had a tough loss yesterday in the state tournament to Conestoga, but the girls soccer team again and Coach Rich Johns has done a great job. That's our 3rd district title, District 12 title, and I think 4 or 5 years. So I apologize. I'm sure that all the soccer players would be upset if I didn't mention that, but they had an outstanding year. Sorry about that.
That's all good. All right. Thank you. I think that's it for your update. Now, quickly in the chat, let's just see if there's any questions. I'm going to scroll back. I see there's a question about, well, there's a thank you for the break. So that's been well received. There is a comment. I did hear somebody says, I did hear that some teachers are planning midterms anyway.
Send me their names. I'll have a conversation with them. Well, I mean, listen, there's not going to be a structured half days with 90-minute midterms. There's going to be assessments at the end of the second quarter. I don't know if I would call them midterms, but we will not be doing half days. We will not be doing anything in a formal way.
Okay, there's a comment about the way the PSAT test was given, that some of the 283 teachers were unclear about how that was supposed to be administered. I'm not sure if you know anything about that.
You know, some of them started late and we went over time. So we had to push back the start of the day just because some of the classes started a little later than others, but that's the only issue that I know of.
Okay. There's a question about the dues. Can you mention anything about that?
Sure, I can say that we will. So we went fully virtual last year, so that's why we're taking credit cards. I know that was one of the questions. The dues you can pay with a check made out to Central High School. I'm going to ask Mr. Innamorato and also Mr. Horwitz to send out something to all senior parents this Friday, just explaining the dues, breaking it down for parents, so that they have a clear understanding of what it's for. Okay, so that something formal will come out to all parents.
Okay, and that question is also, what winter sports are available and where can we find out about them?
Sure. I believe that every team has a page on the central website, but you can reach out directly to Mr. Drayton. If you would he's our athletic director. He's also the head football coach, but he can coordinate and connect any parent with any coach if they're interested in contacting a coach directly about a sport. I mean, in the winter, I know we have wrestling, we have JV basketball for girls and boys. We have varsity basketball for boys and girls. We have swimming. We have indoor track. I don't know if I'm missing anything else.
Bowling.
Oh, we have bowling as well. Yes. I hate lists. I always miss something. But I believe that they're all the programs going in the winter. But Mr. Drayton is the person you can reach out to.
Okay, thanks. Another question, when do students get PSAT results?
I'm not sure. I would say email Terry Harrington, Ms. Harrington. She's in charge of testing, so she would probably be able to get that information.
And Heidi, if I could just interrupt, sorry, Mr. McKenna. Usually in years past, it's been the beginning of December. Students, as long as they provided an email address on their score report, will be prompted to create a College Board account, and they'll be able to view their scores there. So we haven't gotten a definite date, but that's sort of the information from like years past.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Soda.
There's another question. What's happening with geometry teacher Lamborn?
I can't go into I can't talk about personnel issues over
Okay.
Zoom call. Yeah.
And then I guess, can you talk about?
That parent can reach out to me directly.
Okay. And then I guess similarly, is there anything you can tell us about the new teachers that are coming in? For example, the person who replaced Dr. Drago.
Ryan Nagel is a certified history teacher who was new to the school. He's coming in to take over the U.S. history classes for now. And we have teachers that we have multiple teachers going out on. We have a teacher going to be going out on maternity leave. We have 3 teachers going on sabbatical the second half of the year, and we're already working to make sure that those classes are not affected. We'll have certified people taking over for them.
I will say too, as far as the U.S. history courses, he will not be responsible for the first quarter grades. I am the person who will be helping with that process. So if parents have any questions about that, they can email me directly, Dr. Scott.
Thank you. And then one last question that I'm seeing is whether or not there's any update on starting Ultimate Frisbee up at Central as either a club or a sport.
I believe that would fall under Mr. Drayton as well. Someone did reach out to me that was trying to start it. I'll support it. I mean, I think it's a great sport. And we had Ultimate Frisbee for a number of years when I first got to the school as a club. And then it kind of like some clubs just disappear and go away. But I would definitely support Ultimate Frisbee coming back. I think it's a great sport.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew somebody emailed me. I just see from Nina they have a practice this Sunday. So I guess the club is up and running again. There's so many clubs. We have 81 clubs right now, just to be totally honest with everyone. It's a lot.
All right, and there's a couple more things popping up. Oh, they're just talking about the fact that I guess they are having some practices when it comes to Ultimate. So that's great.
If any parents want to send them to Mr. Drayton, or they can send them to one of the admin, and we'll try to find out about Ultimate Frisbee if there's questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McKenna.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. And again, thank you to our counseling team doing an outstanding job.
All right, so Dr. Soda and career and college planning presentation. I think can you take over, and share your slides?
I am Christine Soda, and I lead an amazing team. There are 5 of us in the department. And as Mr. McKenna said, President McKenna said, we have been working super hard, super effective in terms of meeting all sorts of student needs. I would say the biggest need that might interest a parent group like yours would be the social emotional health of students. And students are struggling. I'm sure you see it, hear it, read about it. It's on the news. You know, students are coming to us off of an 18-month pandemic. And as one student blatantly said it to me last week, I can't learn. I can't learn anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't learn anymore. You know, the addiction, I use that term sort of in my most professional, respectful way, addiction to devices, having to be on the computer for virtual, you know, struggling to engage with other students and other adults has been paramount this year, you know, for us as a team, just trying to you know, bang heads around what we can do collectively as a team of 5 for 2,400 students where we're meeting all of their needs. So Heidi, I don't know if you got that presentation, but I do want to give the other counselors an opportunity to introduce themselves. I am responsible for working with the International Baccalaureate students. Thank you, Heidi. And students with last names KH to MC. So I don't know if we want to go in order, counselors. So Ms. Sharp, if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Autumn Sharp, and I am one of the new counselors at Central High School. This is also my first year as a school counselor, and I'm really excited to be a part of the Central team. Just a little background. Prior to coming to Central, I was a special education teacher at Lincoln High School, and I just look forward to supporting the parents and the students at Central. I service students of the last name starting with A and DI.
Good evening, home and school. My name is Alana Chazen, and I support students with last names DO through KE.
Good evening. My name is Robin Hart, and I support students with the last names beginning with ME through SI.
Good evening, everyone. I am Heather Wardlaw. I service students SK through Z, so I'm at the end of the alphabet.
Thank you, counselors. And it truly, as I want to echo what Mr. McKenna said, it's been sort of an honor and pleasure to work with these amazing women transitioning back, you know, from a pandemic and trying to sort of resume some semblance of normalcy. But as you are aware, college season is upon us. So the presentation is very lengthy. It's 32 slides. I'm not going to go through each and every slide. My hope is that Heidi will be able to post this presentation up. We drilled down as deep as how do students match their Common App to Naviance, that would be seniors. But I kind of wanted to speak overarchingly to kind of the delivery of services that we provide. And there's no day in the counselor's office, and counselors feel free to sort of chime in. There's no 2 days that are alike for us at any minute. You know, we, you know, have appointment schedules and emergencies come up. So if your student comes home and says, I had an appointment, but my counselor wasn't available, chances are something did come up. But, you know, we always sort of circle back. So our delivery of services, individual meetings with students, parents, teachers, administration, sort of as needed. We have done really small sort of assemblies by class. So typically in the fall, you know, September, October, we're doing really college kickoff, college planning for our seniors, sort of in transition to Central for our incoming 9th grade students. You know, we've done advisory visits where we go out, you know, to advisories with the counselor, the list, talk about sort of the services we provide to students just as an introductory welcome. For our juniors in the spring, we engage students in college boot camps and workshops about what they should be thinking about for junior year. College rep visits, a spring sort of college fair sort of swirling around, and how we do that, you know, with pandemic sort of rules in place. As Mr. McKenna mentioned, we're going to be having a financial aid or financial literacy night on November 17th. One of the questions I saw in the chat as Heidi was scrolling through and Mr. McKenna was talking, will that be recorded? Yes, Arcadia is providing the Zoom space so that we can accommodate more people. And so that will be, there's the ability to record. So we're just working out some details on that. And that will be, you know, sent out to you. We also, each of us, each counselor is working closely with class sponsors. So for example, Ms. Jason and I, we are working with Mr. Horowitz or, you know, for 283, not 283, 280 and 281. And then the rest of the counselors are working, Ms. Hart's working with Mr. Burns, Mrs. Wardlaw is working with Mrs. Thornton, and Autumn, you'll be working with someone real soon. So that's sort of how we kind of disseminate the information. We saw that we did have Google Classroom pages, but we saw in the pandemic world that that was a little overwhelming considering students were getting notified, you know, for every little thing class-wise, that another message from the counselor seems sort of daunting. If you go to the next slide, Heidi. So the district really promotes the Naviance as the college planning tool, which means that the district sort of oversees what data and what information goes into it. But it is the tool that we use to sort of send students to do research related to college. Naviance has some tasks that students must complete as part of the Pennsylvania Future Ready Career Readiness Pennsylvania Future Ready Index. So creating a resume, building a budget, and you can see here, I won't read to you, but freshman and sophomore year have designated sort of topics, junior year and then senior year. Is really where the meat and potatoes of Naviance in terms of sending transcripts, requesting letters of recommendation, and students can able to track sort of where their materials are in progress, submitted, things like that. But the district has really sort of committed to Naviance in a way that seems more linear, for students to really begin to think about who they are as individuals, you know, freshman and sophomore year. And then junior year, really sort of helping to kind of take who they are, what their interests are, what their strengths are, and really kind of think about next steps for college. And Naviance also does a decent job of stepping back from college specific and doing more post-secondary work. So Strengths Explorer might, you know, show that a student, you know, has strengths or kind of impulsivities that would speak better to a trade, or perhaps the military or something like that. So I think it's a great tool for all students across the district, not just specific to our students at Central. Go ahead, Heidi. Thank you. So I kind of already talked about this 9th and 10th grade, you know, sort of grade delineation about what's happening. I know there was a question about sort of colleges coming to Central. We're kind of looking to the fall, to the spring for that. We wanted to kind of get back and sort of see what was happening pandemic wise. The district has really taken the lead with a virtual college fair, as well as an HBCU college fair. And so there's also colleges are also offering sort of, they're starting to open up and have on-campus visits as well as virtual opportunities. Next slide. So when we think about college, this is often sort of the jumping off point. We get a lot of calls from parents in 9th and 10th grade, even 11th and 12th grade. So where do we start? You know, as a college prep school, the recognition, we have to remind ourselves that all students are different. They're in different places, both academically, socially, and financially. Financially, I think, has become a bigger concern for many of our families as they're thinking about being able to really afford college for their students, and what are the most affordable options. So the other piece of solid information comes in the form of Philadelphia Future Step Up to College Guide. And I did, Heidi, send you a link where there's an interactive it's an interactive tool, which is great. Students and there's checklists where students can kind of, thank you, Heidi, look at you, you're like my Vanna White, you know, kind of can explore early on, and it really steps students through. But when we're thinking about FIT, it provides the information that students need, right? So academic fit, does it have the major? Does it offer co-op opportunities? Does it offer job placement? Does it offer courses that are taught by professors versus TAs? You know, things like that. When we think about social, students are going to be spending the next 4 years of their life on campus, 4 or 5 years. So does it have what the student needs from a faith-based perspective, from a service-based perspective? Is it close? If the student's commuting, does it have sort of opportunities there? And then obviously financial fit. We see year after year, it seems like financial aid is more crunched, and even in terms of some scholarships. So, you know, if you're not eligible for financial aid, where are those merit-based scholarship schools, which are usually schools with big endowments? So that's sort of the conversation that we have earlier on with our 9th and 10th grade students. And then 11th and 12th grade students, we kind of jump in around, you know, once that fit research is sort of in place, we can help the student sort of guide and drive, you know, who they're going to ask in terms of teacher recommendation. And, you know, my personal preference is really to sort of get the student to understand their transcript, understand their GPA on a weighted and unweighted scale, and really kind of jump onto these admissions pages to see, does their GPA, does the rigor of their classes put them at advantage or perhaps a disadvantage if they apply early? Or, you know, so we have sort of honest conversations with kids, and they're not easy conversations sometimes to have. And many of our students do a great job of creating, you know, reach schools, some target schools, and some safety schools. So those are the conversations that we're all having differently, of course, in terms of our approaches, but necessary conversations, all while supporting students academically and socially at Central, because as you well know, sort of the rigor of our school as a college prep program, all that is still happening while they're trying to figure out what their post-secondary plans are. Next slide. I do see questions popping up in the chat, just as an aside. I think Ms. Chasen is sort of taking a look, and she'll alert me if there's something I need to address for the whole group. So how to get started. I talked about college fit and how to get started. I think if there's any sort of takeaway from this, is to really have conversations with your kids, honest conversations about what is feasible for you as a family financially. Let's say, if you don't want your child applying to schools in California because that's too far to send your babies, then that's a conversation that needs to be had now. Oftentimes there's some disappointment when students, you know, are accepted and, you know, they can't afford it, or they can't go, or there's reasons why. And I think sometimes we shy away from having those conversations because we don't want to disappoint, but it really does help guide the conversation for us who are working with your students around what is reasonable and what is feasible. And so admissions option, application type, and then Naviance are the other three. So, you know, you figure out a list of schools for your child, and then, you know, the considerations for admissions types. So early action, early decision, and regular decision. Early decision, I'll start with, that is sort of a one and done school, as I'd like to describe to students. It is one school. It's a binding agreement, meaning I'm signing off that I understand what binding agreement is. Parents are signing off, students signing off. And if you get accepted there, the understanding is that you're going to go. If financial aid is a consideration where you need to see financial aid packages, early decision may not be the best option. It can be one of the reasons to get out of a bound agreement through early decision, but it's something to consider, as you're having these conversations about what's feasible for your family. Early action might be a better option if financial aid is a consideration for your family, which I would assume for most families it is. Cost is important. It takes away the bound agreement, right? So early decision is one and done. Early action is early and many. So you can apply to as many schools as you want, early action. It gives the student early consideration, early admissions decisions. Students like it because it gives them, okay, I got accepted here. They can breathe a little bit more easy, once they get that decision. And our students at Central fare extremely well in the early decision, early action sort of realm. And then regular decision. So early action and early decision usually have an earlier deadline. So you probably heard your students say, my counselor's not available. They're working on early decision stuff. And we did that this year. We sort of spaced out and closed down for a period of time. And it was really helpful to meet those deadlines. As Mr. McKenna said, we had 295 kids apply early action and 95 early decisions. So it's a pretty hefty number when you're looking sort of at the crunch time that it is, students transitioning back to school. So it is consideration for the student as well, because they need to get the application together. And then regular decision is usually a January 1st deadline. Application types, I'm sure if there's senior parents on this meeting, what's the Common App? What's the Coalition App? Do I have to apply directly to the college? This is really all school specific. The Common Application is, as it's named, an application that you do once. It asks pretty much the common questions that colleges are looking for. And then the student is able to, on their Common Application, add schools that participate with the Common App and send this one application to multiple schools. I think in its inception, it was set to make it easier for students. And I think it does, as long as the schools are Common App schools. So as the students are researching, we make sure that they know, is it a Common App school? Coalition is another application type that is pretty intense in terms of student requirements, school requirements, teacher requirements. In terms of upload, we kind of try to steer kids away from the Coalition application because of how confusing and how many nuanced parts there are. But we do support students if they decide to use that. And then some schools are still, have their own specific application. And so, we support students with that as well. Naviance, I talked a little bit about, so I'm going to skip that and go to the next slide. So when we're thinking about, and, some students sort of align with this sort of logic, on average logic. Some students don't. I have a student, a senior I'm working with, he is applying to 37 schools. So to me, that is way too many in terms of balancing checks and balances on that and what he liked from one school, but it's his process. Again, we'll never tell students that they can't do it. Well, we might strongly encourage or nudge, but you'll never hear us tell a student, no, they can't apply. We try to provide as much information based on what their transcript is reflecting. And does their transcript set them up for success based on what the admissions office is saying? But this is just, I'm not going to read this to you, but 1 to 2 reach schools, strong matches, and then likely admits. And the reach, strong, and likely have to do with what I just said in terms of, does the transcript, does the rigor of classes, does the student's extracurricular involvement, potential leadership, community service align with what the college has admitted in years past? SAT scores, ACT scores, that's also a part of the puzzle. And we consider it a balanced list to sort of ensure some level of admissibility for the student. Next slide, Heidi. I talked about this admissions plan, regular decision. Rolling admission is one I didn't mention. Rolling admission basically is as the student submits materials, as my recommendation is received, as the transcript is received, as the teacher recs are received, the colleges will go ahead and make a decision. Will offer an acceptance or not once the materials are sent. So no firm date deadline. Go ahead, Heidi. Application types, just some websites if you wanted to. So this, Heidi, I think we're going to just kind of go through. This is what we have shared. So you can go to the next one, Heidi. So we included, why it's 32 slides, is we included some screenshots that your student may have brought to your attention or may have panicked, like, I have to match my Common App and Naviance. And these are just some slides. We just wanted to show you what we were sharing with your students. This year, we met with seniors in their English classes with these slides and had a working session where we stepped them through, okay, well, you need to match and you need to do this. So this is just the front page of the Common application. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner, create an account. Any senior who's applied early using Common App has an account already. You can go to the next slide, Heidi. And this is kind of what you'll see is face value. Again, I don't want to take too much time, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what your student is seeing. They have dashboard, which kind of keeps them on track in terms of deadlines and what they have done. My colleges is where they kind of add all of the colleges they want to receive. The meat and potatoes of Common App is actually in the Common App tab, which is the actual Common application. So that's where all the magic happens for them. They can list their GPA, they can list their senior year courses, they can list extracurricular activities. Once that Common application is complete, then they just click on My Colleges and start sending it to the schools. So again, the meat and potatoes really happens in that third tab. And then college search and financial aid resources are really just research based, where they can type in a school if they don't know where it's located and add it to their list. Go ahead, Heidi. So you can see like under My Colleges, Drexel, Temple, UPenn. So if you were to click on, and I know you can't because this is a screenshot, but if you were to click on sort of that little down triangle for University of Pennsylvania, they have a little bit more in terms of admissions criteria. So they have students do supplemental essays. So within each of these little drop downs, that's where the school lists their specific questions. So UPenn, if a student's applying early decision to UPenn, there's an early decision acknowledgement that you would have to sign electronically on the Common App. I would have to sign. So this just helps to keep the students organized with all the little nuances of what each school requires. Go ahead, Heidi. In order for students to match, and I'm getting, I think, a little bit more too detailed, but under each college, recommenders in FERPA, this is where we spend a lot of time with students when we met with them in English class about, doing the FERPA agreement, which is the Federal Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Basically, it talks about the students giving us permission to really send information, right? So to send the council recommendation, to send the transcript, and what can students view and not view, not that they can't not view, but what protects them basically. So let's say they weren't accepted to a particular school, sort of what are their rights to know, kind of reasons or why, comes under FERPA. Go ahead, Heidi. Yeah, so we're, Heidi, I'm just going to say go on these because this is really where how seniors and juniors and any grade would access this information when they become seniors. The Naviance college planning tool is located in the student's Infinite Campus sort of account. Infinite Campus is usually the jumping off point for where they get their Google Classrooms for classes. There's a little icon for Naviance in there.
And I
Go
would
ahead.
just like to add for the parents that we are going to host a Naviance workshop through our partnership with the FACE office at the district. So for just additional details, that'll be coming soon. So just watch your emails.
Oh, perfect. Heidi, can you let me know when that is? Because I know that parent access is a little different than what we can sort of do and see. So that would be helpful for us because we do
Yep.
get a lot of questions. Thanks. So yeah, this is what the student sees in Infinite Campus. And then you'll see on the bottom next to that cute penguin there, you know, that's the Naviance icon. So just some Naviance tips. There's things that need to happen, matching Naviance with Common App, you know, requesting transcripts, teacher recommendations, counselor recommendations. That all happens in Naviance. In terms of the senior year college process logistics, Naviance is sort of the warehouse of all good things that need to be sent to schools. So it's where students make their requests. It's where sort of my transcript will sit, my counselor recommendation will sit, a teacher recommendation will sit. And then as students add schools, you know, to Common App, if they request transcripts, you know, one talks to the other in a weird sort of way. And we send everything from the Naviance warehouse off to the schools. This is how I like to describe it to students. It's probably not, it's probably more technical than that, but that's kind of an easy way to put it. So it's kids' responsibility really is to do the common application and request teacher. It's never too early to talk to teachers about recommendations. We often get this question as counselors. Oh, I liked Miss Hart. She was my favorite English. She was my English teacher this year. I struggled and then I ended up doing really well. Like, is it too, you know, and they get to senior year and it's like, well, I can't ask Miss Hart because she's a 9th grade teacher. The key with recommendations is really who can speak to the student's ability, right? Our letters as counselors is a little bit more generic because we don't spend as many hours with students. So we talk about Central High School and special admissions school, you know, and things like that. But teachers really can speak to, we have teachers who write about specific examples, you know, that happened in a particular class when they were reading Romeo and Juliet, and really sort of get into, you know, how the student critically thinks and analyzes, you know, text and things like that. So, you know, that's something that students, we always encourage kids to kind of build those relationships and create those bridges, you know, for the future when they're applying. So I'm just going to skip through. This is what Naviance looks like. And our seniors are sort of sitting in where that little red oval is, colleges I'm applying to. You know, that's where they make their requests for transcripts and everything like that. I just spoke about letters of recommendation, you know, talk to the teachers. Yeah, so this is where the students are requesting letters of recommendation. They add a request. Oftentimes students and or parents want certain letters sent to certain schools. This is where that magic happens. So yeah, you can go on, Heidi. There's a drop-down list. Counselors don't appear in the drop-down list. This is just teacher specific. So, yep, and this is another screen on Naviance about where to request transcripts. And I know that I'm racing through this in an essence of like time, but once you sort of log in or sit next to your senior, you know, when they get there, this becomes pretty self-explanatory. It's super visual. You just click and go, drop down boxes. So I know that I might be like acting light about sort of going through each screen, but it is very self-explanatory. Go ahead, Heidi. Yeah, you can keep going through all this. And you will have this. Heidi's going to post this. So standardized tests, many schools are still sticking with test optional. So oftentimes I think the magical question that I get is, do I have to take the SAT? Do I have to take standardized tests? I always encourage students to take one, try it at least one time, the SAT and the ACT. Sometimes one SAT, the SAT is, in my opinion, more general knowledge based, where the ACT often is more content based. And so, if a student does well, maybe they want to send in their scores, to support around merit-based scholarships. I think it gives schools one more spec to really kind of delineate who they want. I would say that last year and this year, more students than ever in my 24 years are going test optional, especially because they have the rigor of the essential classes. And perhaps they're not a good test taker. They did well in one section, but not the other. So it's really personal preference. But it is something to consider when you're looking at, the admission rates for students who are accepted, test optional, and what the GPA is that colleges are looking for. I do think it's forced many schools to look more holistically at a student's application, and especially at a school like Central, where, the reason we don't rank students is because the GPAs are so close out to like the fifth decimal point. I'm not a mathematician, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but out to that fifth spot, like 4.20000, you know what I mean? And so that could be the difference of 25 kids. So something to consider. They will have an opportunity, all students will again have an opportunity next year in October to take the SAT if they're seniors, and the NMSQT for 10th grade and 11th grade. In the spring, there will be an opportunity even for our 9th grade students to take the PSAT 8 and 9 as that initial practice. So at this point, I wanted to sort of stop and open it up for some questions. The remaining slides include, this is SAT. So someone asked a question about PSAT. This is sort of what College Board looks like, collegeboard.org. The screen is geared for SAT and sending SAT scores to schools. But when your student gets the email that their PSAT scores are available, they'll be prompted to go and set up an account on College Board. It's really important for them to remember sort of their login and their password, because when scores are released, they will be notified using that email. So using their school district email, something that they have and they know. So that may be the way to go. So yep, finding colleges, yep, sending your score reports. So yeah, we could just go through that, Heidi. Yeah, we can go through. Yeah, so this is all, I think at this point I'd like to stop. And if you could just go back here to help. Can I just get that last slide, Heidi, or is that too much work, Vanna? So I think what I just wanted to say with that last slide, here to help. We are here to help. We are busy from 8 to 3:04. I would say that the biggest piece is don't assume that we know. Like someone had asked a question about PSAT and 2A3 teachers not knowing That was the first time in this chat I was hearing about it. So things like that you're hearing, we may not necessarily have the answer, but I think my request is to give us an opportunity to try to assist and get the answer. You know, there's 5 of us for 2,400 students. And again, not to be dramatic, which I can be, but not to be dramatic, but the needs of our students have changed in the last 18 months. We have seen an increase in students who, counselors, correct me if I'm wrong, who are unable to function within the 4 walls of our school. Anxiety, depression, LGBTQ, LGBTQ plus, stressors, food insecurity is also big. And just the inability to really be able to sit still. And I know that probably sounds elementary, but just the inability to engage. We have, we created in our office a calming space. I didn't create it. Some of the other counselors did last year. And it's 2 sort of low to the ground chairs. There's a little, students can come in, you know, there we have like a little sand art kit and, you know, pictures that they could paint, you know, like not paint, color, just for some stress balls, things like that. And I gotta say, it's filled every period of every day. Like severe crying, and sort of, you know, trying to figure out with parents what's the next right step. And so that's all happening sort of over here. So if that's your student, if that, like, reach out, because oftentimes we are unaware, you know, of what's happening. And so, you know, we have a handful of students who are hospitalized. If that is your student, please inform us so we can sort of inform teachers and kind of get that ball rolling there. We're trying real hard. You know, we're banging heads about new strategies and you know, we're thinking about how do we get students to, how can we create a space in our little space? And I can't take credit for this. This would be Ms. Sharp and the other counselors, but like, how do we get kids, especially our 9th grade students and our 10th grade students, to sort of be in a space together where they can build community amongst each other, like to make a friend or make a connection. Like the freshman tea, I think, was a great first start. But are there things where we can have like a game group where they can come and just enjoy lunch and, you know, a space and place where they can just be. I mean, let's just put it, just be. And so, you know, we're banging heads around that and sort of some group, you know, work. And of course, we have our, you know, referral services for the mental health piece. You know, we still have Cora in place for some outpatient therapy. There is still a wait time, so that can be frustrating. So we're feeling the crunch, but our heads are still up and we show up every day. You know, blessed to support your students. And yeah, so I guess I'll stop there because I can talk, but it's 7:36 and I know there's still more on the agenda. But Ms. Chasen, were there any questions in the chat that were sort of like general? I know Heidi had sent me one question about seniors and first year grades going on a transcript to schools. And so students who applied early action or early decision with a November 1st deadline will need to alert their counselor if they need those first marking period senior year grades sent. Any students that are applying for regular decision, which would be January 1st, those first marking period grades will be on the transcript to be sent out. So that's one distinction I kind of wanted to make to that question. So, you know, colleges do a good job of sort of flooding inboxes and sending mail and things like that. But I'd encourage your students to really check their email That's how we're communicating with them. And that's oftentimes how colleges are still, even if it's to say, hey, check our admissions portal. Just let your counselor know. We then upload a transcript, an optional transcript in Naviance, and send that off. But we don't get notified from the college. The student in particular gets notified.
So could I just jump in and just say, along with the college, I just encourage parents to talk with their children about what their students' post-secondary plans are. I have been in this boat 2 years ago with my own son who was looking at the college process, but I really had conversation with him around what does he see, let's say, the next 5 years looking like for him. And while we are college prep school, we know that students sometimes make other choices. But the more and more you can talk with your student about what they want to do, where they see themselves ending up, and just support them through that process, the smoother it will be. And sometimes we know that our children make choices that we don't always agree with, right? And we try to guide them and steer them. But there are kids that want to go away to college and they want to do things and they want to go across to the West Coast. And I would just say, from parent to parent, try to meet your child where they are. Try not to discourage them, even if it scares you, the decision that they're making. Obviously, if it's a decision that is going to harm them in some way, we have to step in. But, just encourage and walk alongside with them and hear them out.
And I think sometimes, just to echo what Mrs. Wardlaw was saying, and I am not a parent, just a little self-disclosure. I have 9 nieces and nephews who are the closest thing to me, who I love them like they're my own. And this is sometimes hard. And we talk about it as a counseling team in terms of supporting students in the process and doing the process for your students. I sometimes I receive calls from parents who they're actually on the Common App, doing the Common App for the student. And so I just want to echo what Mrs. Wardlaw says about sort of supporting and not taking over that process, which I imagine is difficult from a parent perspective. But I had a student 2 weeks ago. The mom called, and then I met with the student, and they were on 2 totally different pages. Like, the kid was going to the West Coast and applying to schools in England, and the mom was like, nope, he's going to stay in Philly and go to Temple. And I was like, ooh, this puts me in a pickle, because you want to support both. But yeah, I just wanted to echo that with what Mrs. Wardlaw said. I think that that's so important. And also about the mental health stuff too. I think, having a personal experience with a mental health crisis in my own family, it was like nobody wanted to talk about it. Like, nobody wanted to sort of address it. And I think having conversations and checking in with students is paramount, even more now, in terms of all the stressors that are out there, despite the pandemic. So any other counselors want to sort of share any parting words or any questions, Ms. Chasen, that you might be seeing? Or I know other counselors have been responding, so.
I think we addressed all of the questions in the chat. If not, please speak now if there was anything that we missed.
I did see one question about sort of a clearinghouse of information. I like that idea. I think the clearinghouse that exists right now is our school profile, but maybe we could think through how we can, I don't know, maybe put that up under the counselor page on centralhigh.net or something like that. So I do appreciate that suggestion, and we'll take that into account. But if you do need that information, don't hesitate to reach out to your counselor. We have that kind of readily available.
Yeah, the current school profile is on the counselor's page of the central website.
Perfect. Perfect.
I have a question. My name is Skila. I have a ninth grader there. So this is our first year. I heard that there was a college prep for ninth graders. Maybe it's something similar to like a Upward Bound, but is that true? Is some type of a club or something or activity for ninth graders?
I don't think it's specific to Central, and I'm not sure. I'd have to ask around. Ms. Hart, you didn't hear anything from Mr. Burns in terms of ninth grade sponsor?
No, but I don't know why I vaguely remember maybe President McKenna mentioning something. If you wanted, it's a club maybe for SAT or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and we did last week, I believe it was last week, there was Upward Bound. There was an Upward Bound presentation in terms of 9th and 10th graders, I believe. And if you wanted to email me, Mom, I can certainly look into that, because maybe there's something that I'm not seeing. But the Upward Bound is a great program where students gain lots of sort of college post-secondary support. And that program is through Temple. So I don't know if that's maybe the rumbling that you heard, but we could certainly look into it if you reach out.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I just wanted to make one comment. I know, we our students just completed the PSAT, SAT testing, and some of our students have like multiple records with College Board. So if maybe the name is different, maybe the student's name is Timothy and they have Timothy on one record and Tim on a separate record. If our students could just memorize their social security number and use that when they complete the registration, that is a unique identifier that will link multiple records together, so they don't have problems with sending score reports when necessary as they're going through the college application process. Because I know we've run into that lately as students are trying to send their score reports.
So I do see a request on here. How do I reach out to my students counselor? Last name is S-I to Z. That would be Mrs. Wardlaw. And it's just H Wardlaw at Philip. Oh, there you are. Look at you, Mrs. Wardlaw, on it. On it. I'm going to stay in my lane. Well, Heidi, I so appreciate the opportunity to, for me and the rest of the counselors to sort of be here tonight with you. We're here, we support. So if, like I said, if there's something you need, do not hesitate. If you're unsure of who your counselor is and where you should go with it, you can always email me. And it's csoda@philasd, and it's on that first or second slide. So thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Home and School.
Thank you, Dr. Soda, and for all of your colleagues to join. It was great to have you all here. We are going to be posting the slides. This meeting is recorded, so hopefully for everyone who wasn't able to attend, and even those who were that want to go back through it, we'll make that available.
Okay, perfect.
So thanks. And
Thank you.
now we'll head on
Have
to
a
the next bit of things to cover. We have the treasurer's report, and we'll hear from Nina Liu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just gonna make this quick because it's late and be quick anyway, regardless. We started off this month with about 46,000 in our bank account, and you can see we had some income this past month from spiritware sales as well as general donations, and our expenditures. There were a bunch of HSA operating costs that we had, and I think as many of you know, we purchased card magnets to replenish our supply, and so Robin will be talking about those. So if you haven't ordered your card magnets, that opportunity is open, and she will talk more about that. I'll put the link to order in the chat for anyone who is interested. And then really kind of, we haven't finalized our budget for this school year yet in terms of how we're going to be allocating these resources we have available, but we will be issuing departmental grants up to $1,200. And I think someone later on in the HSA group is going to talk more about that. Is that right, Heidi?
Between this report and Robin's report, we'll cover that. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. So that's all I got. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Okay, fundraising, Robin?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm going to let Heidi talk about the spiritware and card magnets because she's been working on that a little more than I have. So you can give a summary of that, Heidi.
So I'm sure many of you know that we did a spiritware sale through Campus Close that opened up right before the school year started, and all of those items, they came in the middle of October. We had spent a few days at school delivering those packages to your students. We also unlocked the home and school closet at Central and also did an inventory sale. So we were able to add quite a number of items to sell, things like sweatpants and some hoodies and t-shirts, as well as the car bumper stick or car license plate holders and the rest of the magnets. So all in all, we have sold a lot of stuff and we have delivered a lot of stuff. We still have things. There was a bump in the mask ordering process. And so we did need to get in additional masks. So people who originally ordered a set of 5 masks ended up with 1, and we did get the additional 4. All that to say that we still have people who have not picked their items up or didn't send their students to pick those items up. So one of the things that we're considering is having a table available when we have our winter concerts. So the 3 days where we have music happening in December, if people are going to be attending those events, they can pick up their spiritware then. Once the car magnets come in, which is going to be hopefully in the beginning of December, we may also schedule another day or 2 for those items to be picked up. But as far as spiritware goes, we are not going to be able to sell anything else through the end of this year because we are just having some massive supply chain delays. And I think you might see that as holiday time comes around and you're trying to buy gifts. But we will do another one in the spring, and we just don't know when that'll be yet. So I think that covers it. And thanks to everybody who purchased items.
So we still are, again, still planning on doing the auction. I did not even get an email out because I'm so swamped at work, but we still are planning an auction in April, May timeframe. I will throw out an email out there, but if you are interested, certainly do fundraising at centralhsa.org. Send me an email there. And we're going to work on getting this committee together, probably starting December, January to start planning it, and hopefully finding a space a little bit earlier than that. Finally, there's consider doing a recurring donation through PayPal. There is a donation button on our website, on the Central HSA website. All the money goes back to the kids and back to the school. They did mention the departmental grants. We've done $1,000 in the past. We're going to do $1,200 this year. It's, the teachers, the departments really appreciate it. The 1 year math just got, reams and reams of paper. The math group, we've gotten the science people have gotten ordered supplies to be able to do the experiments. Yeah. Books are often something that's been ordered. They have all different kinds of things that the departments use the money for. And it's a great way for us to support the school, and in turn, they're supporting our students. So consider continuing to make donations. That's all.
Great. Thanks, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Jamie might be on.
Yeah, I'm
Mm.
here and Kathy's here, but I think Kathy's in transit. Kathy, do
Yeah.
you want to say? Okay, I'll go. So the Anti-Racism Network, first off, we have a meeting on Sunday, November 14th at 4 p.m. Everyone is welcome if you haven't been before, if you have been before. So you can come and learn what's going on. We've been doing a lot of work of sort of putting together a big resource list, and some of which will be things that maybe we discuss as a group, and others we might bring to this larger forum or even just share on the listserv. We're also trying to find a speaker who could come in and talk with parents. So, and if you have any questions, reach out to Kathy, whose email address is on the slide. Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay, so this is a standard slide that is encouraging anybody who wants to get involved with the home and school to please reach out to the committee heads. In addition, I wanted to just also remind everybody that, you know, in the fundraising that we've already done this year, we were able to purchase those Adirondack chairs for the students. Mr. McKenna did not mention this in his report, but in addition, the school also purchased 16, I believe, large, heavy-duty outdoor picnic tables. They just came in this weekend, and the first one was put together on Monday. So if you're ever at the school in the back parking lot and you look down into those grassy courtyard areas, you'll see the Adirondack chairs. You'll start to see the red picnic tables. And what we're also seeing now is the students outside throwing football on campus and really appreciating the campus that they have. So we are going to be leveraging the campus beautification committee fairly soon, because the amount of time that the students are spending outside, they also happen to be missing the trash can quite a bit. And so we're going to need to do a campus cleanup in the near future to help keep that campus looking great. And now we're into class updates. So I think, I don't know if Penny or Ashley are on to do the report. Okay, well, if not, I also have a 281 student, so I'll do this. The Senior Sunrise, the Spirit Day, Mr. McKenna talked about this a little bit with us at the executive meeting, but they all seem to have a great day with this event, and they took the big overhead picture that they do for each of the classes. So in addition to that photo and breakfast and music, they also planted 10 trees that were donated, I believe, by the Phillies, thanks to Mr. Horowitz. There is a deadline coming up for student dues for 281. The dues are $250 as of now, but there is a very high likelihood that this dues might be reduced because some of the events that are included in those dues were not able to take place. So we're going to stay tuned to find out what that actual cost is. If your student wants to raise money to supplement their dues, there is a pie sale going on. They can get an order form for that from Mr. Horowitz as well. Regarding college information, college visits, your students should see Mr. Horowitz to get a visitation form or forms that is required that teachers and parents fill that out and give notice in advance if you're going to be going to visit a college during school day. And in addition, you need to have your students' recommendations requested in collaboration with teachers. So they should start asking for those. Grades close in this month, November 16th. So it's good to get that process started if it hasn't already. In addition, this is for 281 and 282, but the Powder Puff girls football game is taking place next Friday at 12:15. Next Friday is a half day. So the game will start the second half of the day when the students don't have school. They are selling tickets for that, $5 in advance, $10 at the gate. If you want to know more about how to get tickets, also talk to Mr. Horowitz. There is going to be the alumni speaker series that Mr. McKenna talked about, and that's taking place soon. Other events that are coming up include Museum Day and also a ring ceremony, ski trip, a picnic, Central at the Phillies at 5K, and some other things. We have the results of the election, which were held on November 2nd, for the 281 class officers. The names of those students are listed here. And finally, the cardigans for 281 were ordered and are coming soon. Seniors can still order class rings through Jostens, and parent-teacher conferences are coming up, as you heard. Okay, do we have Lisa for 282? Okay, if not, we can do this. I'll do this one as well. Similarly, this was also posted earlier today or yesterday on the parents Google group, but the customized 282 hoodies are still available for order for $30, and those will be distributed after November 14th. And there's a similar note here for fundraising for dues and the pie sale.
We are here, both of us.
Yay.
Okay, so, but we don't have much to say. So I just posted the link for Sign Up Genius for any parents who are interested in volunteering at the Tea and Club Fair on Monday, November 15th. Also, talk to your student and tell them to make sure they stop by, because this is a good opportunity to find out activities that are happening and get involved in stuff. And I think, anyone who's child does an activity can say Central's a lot more fun when you're on a team or in a club. That's about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Whoops. And then we have, I don't know, is Rebecca on? I just met Rebecca at the freshman tea on Monday. She volunteered to be the 284 parent. She collected this update for us from Mr. Burns. So again, close of the quarter is coming up for 284, just like everyone else. We also heard from President McKenna that there is going to be a break for assignments and testing. So over Thanksgiving and the holiday breaks, you'll be able to take a true break. And finally, report card conferences. So that wraps up the class reports. The next meeting we're going to have is December 8th. That is going to be a focused presentation similar to tonight, only the focus will be on the International Baccalaureate IB program, and there will be information in addition provided about AP classes. So we hope that you can attend that meeting. School is closed tomorrow for Veterans Day. There are lots of upcoming events that are on this list, and there are plenty more that we heard about tonight that you can see on the Home and School calendar website. So make sure you pay attention to all the upcoming dates and events. And we'll see everybody next month. So thanks for hanging in there, and have a great night.